Dear Chamber faithful, welcome to Advocacy in Action. I'm Jeremy Field, the Government Affairs Director for the Boise Metro Chamber of Commerce, and we're happy to present this program to provide you insights into what we're doing to help you as small business owners. We are the only 5-star accredited chamber in Idaho from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and that gives us a special designation to help advocate and educate on important issues that impact your businesses. This program is sponsored by Holly Troxel. It wouldn't be possible without them. We're so grateful for their sponsorship. Holly Troxel is Idaho's premier full-service business law firm. Their collective experience lets them provide solutions to the challenges of doing business, from formation to exit. Whether one-on-one counsel or a team approach, they tailor their service to meet clients' needs at competitive Idaho rates. Their clients are local as well as national and international. Holly Troxel is the exclusive member firm in Idaho for Lex Mundi, the world's leading network of independent law firms with in-depth experience in 100-plus countries worldwide, and SCG Legal, a global network of the profession's preeminent independent law firms located in 82 countries around the world. Thank you, Holly Troxel, for your sponsorship, and I'm proud to wear your swag as we move forward with Advocacy in Action. Now, the Chamber, we meet as a policy committee, members of our Chamber, to look at legislation every week. And we met Wednesday evening to discuss the bills that we're following for the legislative session. That first bill that we're following is, and have been for some weeks now, is House Bill 436. House Bill 436 consolidates income tax brackets on the personal income side from 4 to 5, as we've talked about before. It lowers the top rate for personal income tax from 6.5% to 6%, lowering everybody's personal income responsibility to the state, as well as lowering our corporate income tax to 6%. This makes us more competitive with our neighbors, something that we always want for economic development purposes. We know that businesses are struggling right now to retain and attract workforce. That means more money in your pocket to potentially pay your workers more, do the things you need to do to deal with increasing overhead costs. The Chamber supports this bill unanimously. We're grateful that Senators Stephen Harris, or Representative Stephen Harris, Representative Mike Moyle, and Senators Jim Rice and Scott Grow were co-sponsors of this legislation. We're looking forward now to see it pass the Senate floor and on to the governor for signature. Next, we've been following House Bill 443. This adds to existing law, creating a public school health insurance fund. Representatives Rod Furness, Ryan Kirby, and Wendy Horman have introduced this legislation. It's crossed over to the Senate Education Committee after receiving support from the House on the House floor. This bill is a bipartisan bill. Basically, it's going to be part of what allows school districts to potentially come on to the state insurance plan, just like every state employee. So if it works out for those districts, they have the ability to go under the state plan, receive a better insurance premium, deductible, but every district has the option to opt in or out. And what's even greater is that this year, the state's insurance plan is going to be up for bid again for every single provider in the state. So this provides our insurance providers with the opportunity to provide a market-based solution for the best rates to provide insurance for our healthcare providers. As a chamber, we love our teachers. We want to see them taken care of, and we are in full support of this legislation to help those teachers come on to Idaho's government public insurance, if that's what their districts think is the best deal for those teachers. Moving on to House Bill 444, our committee strongly supported this bill. It was brought by Representatives Julianne Young, Ryan Kirby, and Bruce Skog. This bill extends a sunset of COVID protection, maybe the best COVID protection out there for a business. If someone thinks they may have been exposed to the virus while they're in your place of business, this prohibits them from bringing any litigation against your company. We're glad that our representatives are looking out for our small businesses. Anything that helps small businesses avoid litigation for matters that well beyond their control, the Chamber fully supports. So thank you, representatives, for this bill. Next, House Bill 447. This is a bill brought by Senator Nash. This would provide implement an Idaho Paid Family Leave Act, under which employees taking care of their family members will be compensated up to 2/3 of their regular pay. Now, while the Chamber does not oppose any kind of family leave policy, we believe that the state mandating that policy on businesses isn't the right way to go. We know that if you do your business does have a paid leave policy, you're going to be more attractive to your potential employees. So we're not opposed to the concept, but we are opposed to the idea of taking that decision out of the hands of small business owners, because it does come at a cost. And some businesses have a greater ability to be flexible with those schedules when people have those life events than others. So really appreciate Senator Nash for bringing up an important issue. The Chamber just opposes it on the pure grounds of we need to let businesses run their businesses the way they want to do it. And if that's if they have a Family Paid Leave Act, again, that's going to look good for their businesses, but we don't want to have the state telling them what to do with their businesses. So we oppose that bill. Next is House Bill 448. This was brought by Representative Ronald Nate out of Rexburg. Now, this would remove the sales tax on groceries. A great article about this at the Idaho Business Review. Wonderful members of the Chamber. Sharon Fisher penned this article, but it talks about some of the challenges that come with eliminating a grocery tax, especially in light of the fact that we're going to see an income tax reduction. So we're going to see fewer revenues from the state in the future. And so cutting more taxes becomes problematic. But amongst some of the points made in that article, she referred to eliminating the grocery tax would also eliminate the grocery tax credit, and lower income people generally make more on that than they spend on grocery taxes. Of course, that refers to the $200 we get for every person in our household. When we file taxes here in the state of Idaho, you receive a credit every year to compensate for the rate that you pay at the grocery store. It goes on to say that revenue impacts cities and counties where grocery sales tax has been a stable source of revenue. You reduce that tax, we're going to see fewer dollars coming into the cities and counties to be able to meet their budget demands. So that's a wrinkle that maybe you hadn't considered when we were thinking about the grocery tax. And finally, it's simplicity for retailers. If a retailer says that a Twix bar is a cookie and cookies are okay to not be taxed, well, maybe the Idaho Tax Commission is going to disagree with that later, and that leaves our retailers and vendors liable to receiving penalties from the Idaho Tax Commission. Tax Commission doesn't want to be in that position. Vendors don't want to be in that position. For those reasons and others, the Chamber has decided to oppose this bill, not because of any kind of reason that we're just generally opposed, but just because it's more nuanced than it looks like at first glance. And with the tax cuts we're already receiving from this legislative session, we decided to oppose this legislation at this time. House Bill 450 is something that was brought by the Idaho Department of Commerce. It amends existing law to suspend the base tax rates for the next 2 years for unemployment insurance. This is going to save small businesses $64 million. There's just a calculation they go through over the next 2 years. One of the ways they calculate that rate would have increased, bringing up unemployment insurance, and by stabilizing this for 2 years and keeping the rate as it is, we will stay at historical lows for unemployment insurance for businesses in the state. Again, and when that sunsets in 2 years, those rates, the way they go about it, will come back down, and we will continue to be able to realize savings for our small businesses. Now, this is possible because of an investment the governor made last year in the Unemployment Insurance Trust of $200 million. So some forward-looking policy by the governor leads to lower small business unemployment rates today. So a big cheers to the Department of Labor and Director Jeannie Revere, and of course Governor Little for their vision and leadership. And we of course support this because, yeah, we want our businesses to have a lower rate if that's possible. And so cheers to Idaho government for looking out for small businesses. House Bill 464 is a bill that was brought by Representatives Jason Monk and Bruce Skog. So we strongly support this bill. What it does is it adds to an existing law that provides that COVID-19 vaccination-related injuries would lead one down the path of workers' compensation instead of litigation. So basically, you get a shot for COVID. It's required by your employer. If you have an adverse effect that impacts your health, you will be compensated through workers' compensation. Removes the chance of litigation against the company that needs to require those vaccinations for employment. Because you have a 1 in a million shot at having any kind of adverse reaction from these injections, the impacts are de minimis, and it won't impact worker compensation rates. So it does something to protect employees. It does something to protect employers from litigation. So big thumbs up to these representatives for being creative and ways to avoid potential litigation. And because it's such a small rate of people that actually receive some sort of bad health effect from the COVID vaccination shots, again, not a big impact to, well, it won't our compensation rates. So win-win all around. Chamber strongly supports this legislation. So thanks again to these representatives for coming up with some good legislation. Hello, Chamber faithful. During the recording of our original spot, we had an audio failing. So re-recording this section where we talk about Senate Bill 1229. Senator Burgoyne brought this legislation full well knowing that it wouldn't go anywhere. He wanted to have, or at least start a discussion about just generally workforce concerns, housing pay, especially in resort communities in Idaho. If you look around the area, even you see when you're driving by McDonald's, some of our other, Chick-fil-A, wherever the case may be, they have signs up saying that they're paying near $15 an hour. And Senate Bill 1229 would suggest that we move the minimum wage from cents an hour in Idaho to $15 an hour. So Senator Burgoyne mentioned that when we talked yesterday, to some extent, the market is dictating some of these prices already for employers to pay to employees to, just get the job done right now. We're in a very employee-friendly market. In resort communities, there's still a great challenge, though. Very expensive to live, difficult to commute in and out of those areas, and so just the pay in those areas, very important to be able to get employees that can live close enough to work to get there on time and afford to live in those areas. So this is Senator Burgoyne's way of starting a conversation around those issues. As a chamber policy committee, of course, we oppose this legislation because it puts restrictions from the government is telling employers what to pay their people. Generally, we frown on those kind of bills. Having said that, Senator Burgoyne has a very long history of being very friendly to small businesses, looking out for those issues. He's an entrepreneur himself, owns his own law firm, runs his own practice, and is very sensitive to making sure that small businesses have the flexibility they need to do their job. So for that reason, we oppose this bill as a committee, but always really appreciate Senator Burgoyne's long history of supporting businesses and even his way of having a conversation about a difficult issue, especially in those resort communities. So thank you, Senator Burgoyne. We are very grateful to be able to bring this broadcast to you. This program, we want to educate our membership on what we're doing on your behalf. We are very grateful to our sponsor, Holly Troxel, to help us bring this programming to you. But, we are here because we want to do the best job we can for you, help your businesses be successful. So we look after those policies that will have an impact on you and do the best job we know how to advocate for positions that strengthen you as small businesses and entrepreneurs. So thank you so much for your membership in the Chamber and for your viewership today, and we'll see you next time.